Hey everybody, Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here. Today we're going to go through a little PSA submission preview. Um, I have an order currently at PSA, still waiting to be checked in, but that was to be expected. Should hopefully get that back in another, 4 to 5 weeks maybe. So what I'm going to try to do is kind of stagger some PSA orders where I send in about 10 or 12 cards at a time, maybe upwards of 15. About every month or so, just to kind of break things up so I can begin having this kind of constant influx of stuff coming back without ever being hit with, a bunch of grading fees all at once. I got a pile of stuff to go through to send. But it also makes it a little bit easier for stuff like that. I can kind of prioritize things based on the time of the year and when I expect to get some of this stuff back. So this is pretty much all going to be basketball stuff. Nothing crazy or wild about that. We primarily talk about basketball on here. We dip into football every once in a while. So before we get into the preview, let's just talk about a couple things really quick. I don't have market movers up or anything. It's back on the table for the first time in a while. I'll probably make a separate video about this, but this bubble stuff is just wild, guys. I mean wild. These prices, just every game, they're just going crazy. Like, it is nuts. I'm recording this a day after Michael Porter Jr. went off, and his prices doubled in 30 minutes. It's absolutely wild. I don't want to say I told you so, but this is exactly what I thought was going to happen prior to the bubble game starting back up. We have talked about it in multiple videos leading up to this point, that I thought it was going to be a very overreactionary market because people are desperate for sports. And all these people have been dumping money into sports cards that are maybe new to the hobby or new to the investing side or whatever since this pandemic started, and they've never had the combination of this aspect of their life plus live basketball games being played. So it's just like fueling itself. And I believe, and I've heard this correlation made on a few other different places, it's almost like people are kind of treating it like DFS. It's like, man, I think Keldon Johnson is super cheap. He's going to have a good game tonight. Let me run the eBay, Star Stock, whatever, and load up on this dude for $2 a card. And then he plays well, and I'll immediately flip him for, 4x or whatever on some of these cheaper guys. The guys that are super cheap are like drastically shooting up in value. Like look at Bull from the scrimmage game, stuff like that. It's just wild times out there right now. Just be careful, guys. Be careful. Another one that's just absolutely crazy, which I may end up making a whole separate video about this too. LeBron 2019 base prisms. This card right here. Like I said, I don't know market movers up, or I'd show you guys the charts, but this card right here, base 2019 prism. If you guys don't follow the market super well, this right now is a $60 to $70 card. It's not silver, it's not green, it's not numbered. It's just a base LeBron prism. PSA 10s are selling for $600 now. Excuse me? $600 for a 2019 prism base LeBron PSA 10? Are you kidding me? Like, if you're sitting on a bunch of these, my gut tells me that they're going to keep going up as long as the Lakers make a run in the playoffs. But I don't have a lot of... In fact, this is the only one that I have. I did not rip a ton of prism. This one's a little too off-center to even try for a 10. If I had a bunch of these laying around, I would at least consider selling off a couple of them. Like if I had 10 of these and you picked them up for 10 to 20 bucks, 25 bucks a pop, and you could sell like 2 to 3 of your maybe PSA 9s, not necessarily PSA 10s, and completely cover all your costs for the cards that you bought and probably the grading fees for the ones that you are going to keep, I don't necessarily think that's a bad play. Never be afraid to lock in a good profit on something. So if you have multiple of these, I wouldn't be afraid to sell a couple off, um, just to help cover some of those costs. But this card is just absolutely nuts right now. There's some other stuff that's absolutely crazy right now, and we're going to see it in this PSA submission because I threw some things in here last minute that I did not expect to based off prices that they're reselling for because I had no idea this stuff was selling for this much, and I follow this stuff um, relatively daily. So let's get into what's on the table here. So first up, and I do need to keep these in order because the PSA paperwork is already printed out. I just got to get these packaged up. But I wanted to shoot this really quick. We have a Ja Morant pink camo out of Mosaic. I thought about submitting this before. There is a small surface defect on this. It's really tiny. Other than that, I think it looks pretty good. I'm not going to be shocked if this comes back a 9 just based off of the Zion Silver that I had getting a 9 with one small surface defect on it. So we'll see. I'm hoping for a 10. I really like this card because of the jersey. I would probably hold on to it. But we'll see what happens with this one. I would not be surprised if this gets a 9. There's a lot of things in here I'm slightly hesitant on because I've submitted a lot of stuff already to, like, a lot of my quote-unquote best stuff is unfortunately sitting at SGC right now. So this is kind of like, I don't want to call it the second tier stuff, but the stuff that didn't make it through the first couple passes that I said, I'll hold this off for later. Same with this Ja. The centering's pretty good. It's not like dead on, but I think it might be close enough for a PSA. So, but yeah, just a Ja-based prism. Nothing crazy there, but these are like $600 now, so I figured it was worth the chance. Optic Ja base. Nothing crazy there. This one's slightly off-centered. You can see it's a little heavy on the right compared to the left. This may end up pulling a 9, but it's kind of one of those things that sells so much in a PSA 10. It's kind of worth the gamble since they're usually 60-40 on centering. So we'll see what happens with that. And a lot of this is me kind of like testing my own quote-unquote eye for this stuff. Next, we got a Trey optic base. Nothing crazy here. I had this for a while. I've been meaning to submit it and just haven't gotten around to it. And I expect this stuff's going in early August. I would hopefully like to have this stuff back by like early October, mid-October. We'll see. I'll have a better idea once I get this first one back. So base Ja. Now this is one of the ones that I was like, excuse me, how much are those selling for? So this is a 2019 Prism Trey Silver that I pulled. And I'll talk about how I stumbled across this. But I was looking at something else and fell into this. This in a PSA 10 is like $300. A second year silver of Trae Young in a PSA 10 slab is $300. So I figured, what the hell? This one is actually in pretty good shape. I think this will 10. It's centered pretty well. Surface looks good. Corners look pretty good, etc., etc. So we'll see how this does. But yeah, a Trae Young second year silver prism is $300 in a PSA 10 slab. I beyond have given up trying to understand what this market is doing right now. Base is Zion Mosaic. Nothing too crazy here. These are ridiculously tough grades because they are surface nightmares. This is one of the few that I thought was in good enough shape to even attempt, so we'll see what happens with that one. Optic Zion, a little fat on the left. I'm not talking about Zion, I'm talking about the border. So we'll see what happens once again. 60-40 centering. We'll see if they let that one sneak through. We got two Luka greens. I have a silver mosaic sitting there now. These go for about $300 a piece, and that's not counting whatever he's about to do in the upcoming playoffs. Base Tyler Hero Prism, nothing crazy. Base LeBron Mosaic, once again, nothing crazy, but these base LeBrons, man, they go for $200-300 in a PSA 10 slab, so, it's worth a shot. Same thing, base optic here. I have tons of these. They're centering nightmares. If you have a bunch of optic laying around, good luck on these things. MPJ, Prism base. Once again, nothing crazy, just a base Prism MPJ. I've been sitting on this one for a while to get graded. I'm a little worried about top to bottom centering, but it's not too bad. These are 3 to 400 now after his game the other night. Two base LeBron Jam Masters. And this was the one that led me down the Trae Young path. This is a $300 card too. This is a second year Michael Porter Jr. Silver Prism. Is like 3 to 400 bucks in a PSA 10 slab. So I saw this. I knew that I had the tray. And then I looked up the tray and I was like, what? So we'll see how this bad boy does. It looks to be in pretty sharp shape. It is very well centered. Surface looks good. I'm always bad about judging corners unless they're just really destroyed. So if a corner gets me, a corner gets me. Even the back centering is pretty good on this one. So we will see what happens there. But yeah, these like random second year vet silvers are nuts. I knew like the Luka was doing really well and like the LeBron and the Giannis and stuff like that, but I just did not expect a Michael Porter Jr. second year silver to be multiple hundreds of dollars in a PSA 10 slab. But welcome to 2020 in sports cards, ladies and gentlemen. It is a wild freaking ride out there right now. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Just wanted to kind of touch on a few of the crazy things going on in the market right now and go through that PSA submission preview. Hopefully one day I'll get an order back from SGC. That's where most of my good stuff is, unfortunately. I bought into the hype, per se, that they were hitting their turnaround times in early May, and I've had an order there for going on 70-some business days now. So, yeah. Whoops. Bad on me. Mistakes made. Lessons learned. So we'll see what happens with that, but hopefully we'll have that reveal here in the next couple weeks. I checked with them last week, and they told me it would still be another 3 to 4 weeks, and I have 2 orders sitting there, actually. So this order is mostly things I would either want to hold on to till next season, or hopefully it sneaks back in time, because the finals are in October. Hopefully this sneaks back to me right around finals time. That's the reason why I threw that extra LeBron stuff in there. Like those LeBron base Jam Masters aren't like the hugest card in the world, but I am thinking when you do your grading submissions, you want to fast forward in time and say like, where are we going to be at in the schedule, the calendar, whatever, in however many days it is that you think it's going to take to get this back. And right now that could be tricky to judge. You know, PSA takes about a month to log them and about another month to process them to 2 months to process them. So I'm looking at 60 to 90 days, which is fine because I know that going in. The problem with the SGC order was the time that I submitted, they weren't telling people that they were already a shit show and backed up to high heaven, so I thought they were still on time, when in reality they weren't. PSA and BGS, I would never submit to BGS, but PSA, I at least know what I'm getting going in. I know it's going to be 60 to 90 days, so I can plan around that. SGC, I was planning on the cards being back in my hands in a month. That was obviously not the case, so like I said, I don't mean to rant on that. I'll rant on that when I get the cards back and we do a reveal. So anyway, if you're still with me after listening to all that nonsense, I forgot it at the beginning like I always do. Don't forget to like the video. Comment down below if you have any questions. And we are creeping to 400 subscribers. We blew through 350, and we are well on our way to 400. So I would like to see that get over to 400 by the weekend. Let's see what we could do on that. And then we'll catch you guys on the next one. That's all I got. Peace.